Aye, aye, folks, fit like. Well, Jill presented us with a theme for Doric TV, past, present, and future. And I thought it'd be a great idea to find out fit words are being used now by the bairns and fit words were used in the past and their links to events. Well, it's opened up a whole can of worms and it's created more questions than answers for sure. Fan did we start speaking Doric, and fa card Doric. Doric. A buddy didn't wake up a morning, get yogurt, and thought, you can't ass, I think I ca fit I spec Doric. The Elphinstone Institute gives an explanation of where the name comes from, but I think mother tongue is better and a better way of doing it. But hey, we've got Doric, and that's why we're doing it. So, is Doric just a dialect of the Scots language? Or did we just pinch a load of words, fae it, and make our own language? I haven't got answers for you, but fit a div here is a great topic of conversation. So you can haver and discuss for as long as you want, because we are here a point of view and some mere facts and opinions. I had twa rich greetings with Peter Chapman and some young lads and lasses. I came this last file. It stimulated an interest in stuff, and it shows you that the Doric spoken word is alive and kicking, and is ever changing, and is slightly different from place to place and job to job. A fisher has different words than a farmer, and Finechty Doric is different from Fingen Doric. Now, I left home when I was 17 to join the British Army, and nobody could understand me when I got down to Catterick to do my basic training, so I had to speak slower and change the way I spoke. I still change the drap of a hat depending on who I'm speaking to, but I recently went down on a bus to the National Memorial Arboretum, what down aside Burton and Trent, right, with a load of Gordon Highlanders. Now, to do their dedication for their new memorial down here. Now, it was the other way round for them. Right, only Glaswegians or lads from England or Cumbria or forever, they had to understand what the lads were saying. Now, the officers, like my buddy Major Morris Gibson, if I could spit pan loaf with the best of them, had to understand what his jocks were saying. And incidentally, he loves the Doric and he speaks it fluently. Now, the Gordons, like my regiments, have pinched words from other languages and cultures and passed them on from soldier to soldier. The best examples of this are from our time in India, with the Raj, Pukka, being genuine, Dobi, being washing. And a lot of words have circulated into the English language from this too, like bungalow. And even from the Cold War and our time in Germany, my buddies still use bis später, bis morgen, which means cheerio, see you later, see you in the morning. Jamie Fairburne is a teacher at the school in Bath and is real acquainted with Doric and takes an active interest in words and the origin of them. He teaches the SQA award in Scots language that was introduced recently into our curriculum. The bairns have done some excellent work, and I have pinched a fair bit for their projects and research, which can be accessed online, so it's well worth a squint. He heard a lassie state that Thone was affy a mosh after watching Sunshine on Leith, and he's noticed bairns that are saying clart it with dubs rather than yard it with dubs. Another phrase making its runes is "That's fair dunk," meaning that's quite ridiculous. My wife Carlin started hearing the bairns at Cumminston say "hanitizer," and I was told by Rose Hartley Parent Council that their bairns use it too. Now, there are loads more examples that I hear about. Are the new ones Doric? I think they are, and I can't know what you think, but I think they are. Now, do we take words and mark them our own, and mark them more expressive and descriptive? Fit why do my Danish buddies in Chemo International understand me when I speak Doric to them? Now, just as I thought, I looked up what the Norwegian for harbour is, and it's haven. Buchenhaven, Stonehaven. Did the Norse pinch it for us, or did we pinch it for them? And what about cack and dyke? Now, my surname is Findlater. It's Old Norse. At the castle side Sinine, there is a lump of white quartz in the cliff. The Norse seafarers used it as a landmark and called it Findlater, white stone or cliff. The castle was built by the son of Waldern Comte de St. Clair and grandson of Richard Duke of Normandy. It was also captured by King Hako of Norway in the 13th century, where the Norse stayed for a considerable time. This illustrates that folk were moving around a lot and then pinching each other's hooses, so fit why neither words tea. Blether, in Old Norse bledre, to utter inarticulately. Drukit, drokna, to be drowned. Nout is one head of cattle. As Peter was saying, that's a whole pack of cattle, but in Norse it's one. Skite, to shoot forward. Dart, propel. Spear, one of my favourite words. Norwegian, spear, to ask. Drich, of course, is Old Norse. Now, we are closer to the coast of Norway than we are to London, and it's a straight line in a boat, so traders have been coming here from Scandinavia, as well as the Vikings, of course, for more than a millennia, so we are bound to pick up words from each other. But where did all the French words come from? The Norman knights, Meldrum, the Commons, St. Clairs, they were invited up here to stay and created a feudal system by King David I to replace the Mormaers. Was it the Alliance? Was it the smugglers that went up and down the coast? The French used to park their boats just right off here, row in their brandy during the Napoleonic wars, and we would sell them their whiskey for the cabrach, and then we'd take the brandy and sell it down to the beer brandy-starved English across the border. Fushti, the old word fusht. Kaup, coupe, to overturn, upset or ruin. Ruser, watering can. Ruse, to water in French. Assiette, another one of my favourite words, is a big plate. And even heard farmers and descart cantates poms, for pomme de terre. Of course, in English there are lots of French words and phrases that have been pinched. Rendezvous, cul-de-sac, raison d'etre. So every people pinches words from other peoples. But the Normans were originally Vikings, who landed in northern France. And then coup comes from Old English, coup. Now, Auntie Mary tells me that King Edward is actually Gaelic. It's a place name, Cain Edart, meaning headland, as the sea used to come right up to there. If you search online with where does Doric come from, the Elphinstone Institute comes up with this excellent piece. It states that Doric is not slang, and it's not the language of the Picts. The Picts spoke a language more akin to Welsh, so it's not Gaelic. Its origins come from the influence of Anglo-Saxon invaders as they spread their kingdoms northwards. The northern dialect of Anglo-Saxon became the language in which the Acts of Parliament under the reign of King James I were recorded and superseded Latin. But if it did we speak afore the Vikings came, are there still words that we use now that we used then? The Book of Deer is coming back up here for Cambridge. Well, that's good. It's a 10th century illuminated manuscript from here, called the Former Pictland. It is the only pre-Norman manuscript, and it has the oldest pieces of Gaelic written in atween the Latin text. Now these would have been monks, but fit did the farmers and fishers speak? Fa decides on fit a language is, and fit a dialect is. Now King James I decided, stuff Latin, I want to speak and scribe in SY. North east of Scotland has always had ports and harbours. It's a veritable grain basket and full of resources. Our ancestors have all been settlers to this area at one point, but what did they bring with them, and what did they speak? Now, and fit will our grandbairns be speaking in the future? Well, I think that Doric will continue to change. If there is a good descriptive word that comes along, we will pinch it and use it, no matter far it comes from. Let's face it, the spoken and written Doric is a beautiful and expressive way to communicate. Old words may be forgotten, but there will always be new ones. Thanks a lot, folks, and hug on. All the best. Bye.